Recognized, Uncle Walker, D01. Recognized, Emily of Arden, D12. Recognized, Joe Moniac, D05.
Hello, team. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us for episode 23 of Whelmed Season 4. My name is Rich, and with me is my co-host Emily and producer Neil.
Hey, everyone. In these review episodes, we'll be diving into the plots, characters, Easter eggs, and comic book history, and everything else of Young Justice, and use all of that as a springboard to talk about the creative writing process along the way.
Our review segments will avoid any major spoilers for later episodes, which we're running out of, but we'll be discussing them in detail in our final segment, Crashing the Boat.
Deal. Hey, that's mine. I'm not Bruce Wayne, you know.
We'll throw in one full bag of freeze-dried chicken whizzies.
I was saving those for the zone.
Not until you're done.
And with all that out of the way, let's hand it over to Emily for
Hello, Megan.
The title of this week's episode is Ego and Superego. The release date was May 19th, 2022. The in-episode dates were September 9th and 10th. The writer was Michael Vogel. The director was Vinton Hoyk. And the voice director was, as always, Jamie Thomason.
Special guest voice credits this week are Troy Baker as Geoforce and Joseph Mueller.
Zara Fuzzle as Violet Harper, Harper Row, and Trajectory.
All the Harpers. Gray Griffin as Helga Jace, our favorite, Leah Briggs and Troya.
Stephanie Limlin as Catherine Colbert.
Yuri Lowenthal as Zviad Bazovi, Lizard Johnny, and the Trugglewogs.
Vanessa Marshall as Dinah Lance and Ursa Zod.
Nolan North as Everyman.
Zeno Robinson as Victor Stone and Wilhelm Viddings.
Tara Strong as Tara Markov.
Kuei Tan as Fury.
And Kara Walgren as Phantom Girl.
Just in time for your next mission.
This week's episode starts in Markovia, where a teenage metahuman known as Lizard Johnny is being terrorized by anti-metahuman vigilantes, I guess. Brion's new super team, the Infinitors, arrives on the scene to stop the violence and save the lizard boy, but one of the attackers runs off into the woods. It's revealed to the audience, though not to Brion, that one of those who were attacking Johnny is actually a member of the Infinitors in disguise. After the credits, we cut to Ivytown University, where Harper Row is helping Halo move into their new dorm. Harper and Violet have a little heart-to-heart about how she's worried they're going to drift apart since they won't be attending college together, which culminates in Harper admitting that she has feelings for Violet and asking them to think about it. Just think about it.
Back in Markovia, Bazovi assures Brion that one anti-meta getting away isn't the end of the world, using his own uncomfortable at best powers to assuage Brion's legitimate concerns and influence his decisions, of course. And that the PR of saving Lizard Johnny is far more important. And over in the Phantom Zone, Phantom Girl attempts to explain to Superboy that they ended up there because she tried to dimension shift him to her homeworld just before the gene bomb exploded on Mars. But due to the extenuating circumstances of an admittedly very stressful situation and a burning arm, they ended up trapped between dimensions in the Phantom Zone. Phantom Girl tries to use her powers to teleport them both back to the right dimension, but Connor refuses because he's now loyal to Zod. And back on Earth, the hashtag Save Superboy Squad locates a magic school bus in a Metropolis junkyard. The only problem is that it's been completely wrecked, and there's no way that they'll be able to drive it all the way to the Phantom Zone.
Back in Markovia, Brion welcomes Lizard Johnny to Markovia as part of his initiative to accept all metahuman refugees fleeing to his country. Johnny is grateful, but is still wary of Brion because of that whole murdering his uncle on international live television incident from last season.
It's old news.
Yeah, when their conversation is interrupted by Brion's political duties, Bazovi has a word with Johnny and uses his powers to start to influence the boy to believe Brion's actions were completely justified, and it's made clear that Bazovi has been influencing a lot of the government's decisions these days. We then cut over to the Metahuman Youth Center in Taos, where Black Canary is leading a group of super teens in a therapy session. There, Violet talks about moving into college, as well as their uncertainty surrounding Harper's declaration and their unresolved feelings about Brion. Several members of the group encourage Halo to reach out to try and get closure, but Canary reminds Violet that it's ultimately their decision.
In Markovia, we get a deeply creepy bit of cartoon propaganda from Dr. Jace explaining how the new and improved metahuman awakening procedure works and how any metahuman who comes to Markovia can train to join the country's official superhero team. And I'm sure there's nothing weird about any of that.
You and me
totally
both.
normal. I forgot that I included it as the next line. Let me read what I actually wrote. A totally normal thing that has no weird implications about the state of affairs in this weird fictional country.
Nope.
Lizard Johnny seems very enthusiastic about this whole idea, which sets off even more alarm bells for Brion, since Johnny was previously at the youth center in Taos and could have easily joined a super team there if that's what he'd wanted to do in the first place. Bazovi steps in to once again redirect Brion's attention, and all of this is starting to make Fury, one of the other Infinitors, equally suspicious of the whole situation. Fury then meets up with two of the other Infinitors who've been sent to the home of one of Brion's advisors to threaten both him and his family into leaving the country, which Fury also really does not like.
No, not at all. Basovi, we'll get into that. Ugh. Back in the Metropolis junkyard, Zatanna summons the Troggerwogs, and after the rest of the team successfully captures them, she offers to let them have any vehicle in the junkyard if they fix the magic school bus. Over in Taos, Beast Boy introduces the group to his new emotional support corgi, Wingman, and talks about his recovery. He's been doing a lot better since getting some actual help for his mental health, but he's taking it slow and hasn't rejoined any active hero work yet. We then cut over to the Phantom Zone, where Connor reveals everything Phantom Girl just told him to Laura and Ursa. Cool. Ursa orders him to restrain Phantom Girl, but when he tries, she dimension shifts back to Mars alone to escape, and of course immediately starts screaming because her arm was burned by lava. That's awful.
Later in Markovia, Brion contemplates the text Violet sent him, asking to talk, only for Violet to show up via boom tube directly into the throne room. Now it's their turn to have a heart-to-heart conversation about the past year, about Brion's attempt to build something good in Markovia after killing his uncle and taking the throne, about his decision to cut himself off from those who care about him, about Halo's own growth and the fact that they still care about him even if they no longer feel the need to fix everything. But just when it seems like they might be coming to an understanding, they're interrupted by none other than Bazovi, who once again influences the situation to his advantage, resulting in Brion rejecting Halo's help. Later, Fury runs into Brion and confides in him about her suspicions. After boom tubing back to Ivy University, Violet calls Harper so that they can meet up and talk. And over in Metropolis, the Troggerwogs successfully repair the magic school bus in exchange for Nightwing's car, and as any of us would want, a bag of chicken whizzies. And 5/8 of the OG team climb aboard and jump through a glowing portal to rescue Connor. Over the credits, we see the announcement of the groundbreaking for the new Hall of Justice.
Film the Aster.
Superboy, are you alright?
I'm fine. Feeling the Aster.
After refurbishing an old school bus, Nightwing and the gang hit the road. That's your log line.
That's my log
catches
line.
Me off guard every time.
Thank you for starting with actual Aster, because what I don't have Aster about is I think I've gotten to the point where I dislike Bazovi more than Lex.
Yeah.
Like, he makes me more cringy villain uncomfortable than Lex, and that's an impressive feat.
Because you know what it is? It's the fact that, like, Lex is manipulative, but he's only as manipulative as people will let him be, if that makes sense. Whereas Bazovi is literally taking away people's autonomy a little bit. That's not even entirely true. We have addressed this. Bazovi can only influence people into things that are already kind of there, but there's a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't know, because like I feel like while true, like the like baseline thought needs to exist, but like we all have thoughts that we don't like. You know, I do. I know I do. I have thoughts that like. This is also, okay, this is a total aside. If the thought actually count, I would be in so much trouble. So, but the idea that, like, Bazovi forces it, but it also makes me question so many other characters at that point that are in his realm of influence of like, how bad are you actually? Like, that's one of my notes is like, where is Brionne's actual line? Like, where does, Brionne stop and Bazovi's influence truly begin? And so it always makes it, I mean, obviously I make light of the whole Jay situation, but that's a factor as well. Like, I think, I only say it because I think there is a version where if she's not with the bad guys, air quote, then I think she ends up being a different person. But like with the influence of Bazovi, Ultrahumanite, and all these other literal brain manipulating villains, Simon, it's difficult to see like who out of your crew could have been a decent person.
But is the thing to say of like, yeah, you take any person in the world and have them grow up and exist in entirely different circumstances, and they're probably going to be a different person. So it's like, I judge Jace on where she is now, and for a good portion of season 3, she did not have Bazovi leaning over her, telling her what to do. She was making those choices all on her own.
That's true. That we know of. Don't.
That we know of, sure.
Back to Bazovi, guys.
But you
Back
can
to Bazovi.
say that
Let's not
about
rehash
anything.
Jace. It is true, but I see what you're saying, because like we were talking about, like supposedly he's only able to influence people. Like, is there some seed there that I can kind of encourage? But like it felt like, unless maybe I'm misreading the scene, but it felt pretty clear that Lizard Johnny was like not really into doing a thing, and then he went from that to like really excited about it. I think you're right though, Emily. It's not about the fact. It's not like he's mind controlling them. It's even worse. Like he's making them feel like the decision is theirs. It's different if like
even more so than Lex,
right? Because Lex is giving you what you want. I'm just giving you what you want. And then you're like, maybe I should have not wanted that in the first place. It isn't what they want, but it's not Queen Bee where like, the president of Karak was like, where's Queen Bee? She's been influencing me and doing all this stuff. And where's my daughter? And I can understand that I've been mind controlled.
Yeah.
Like it's this middle ground. That's just this horrifying middle ground between Lex's non-superhuman influence and Queen Bee's mind control.
Where it's the thing of like, I can't say definitively if it is or isn't worse than either of those characters, but it feels so much more insidious, and that is just uncomfortable to watch. And I think the reason is because you can look at Queen Bee and like she looks like a supervillain to start with, right? And then you can look at Lex, and afterwards you can understand what Lex was doing. The choice with Lex is still there. You still have a choice, and you made that choice. I don't believe any of these people are making these choices. And that's the thing that's like, it just makes him so much creepier and uncomfortable, and his power isn't even that strong. It's so insidious. Yeah, no, one of my notes is just, I hate Bazovi, so I feel like we've probably covered that. My only other note about him is, because my notes are always in chronological order, so skipping near the end of mine with Bazovi and how much I hate him, I have for when Halo shows up to talk to Brionne, when Bazovi interrupts this moment, I just have a thing here that says, Bazovi misgenders Halo so aggressively, it's almost hilarious. Like, how many ways can you say you are girl, she, lady, queen, correct in 2 sentences? It's insane. And I think it's intentional to make Halo more angry. I have no proof of that, but it almost feels like he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
And the way that Halo responds by correcting him and then leaving has the same energy as like what we talked about during the Rocket arc of how I would have liked Rocket to have been able to just be like, no, they need to be with people who love them. And you're like, understanding.
On that general area of the episode, the creepy promotional video of like, come on down, join the Infinitors, was specifically paying homage to Brave and the Bold.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, it's that art style, and then Brandon had mentioned like that was the intent behind it, because I think both Greg and Brandon worked on Batman the Brave and the Bold at some point. So it was definitely shouting out to that.
The art style of that, very fun, very retro. Yeah. Love the art style, love the look of it. Don't like any word that is said in it.
Well, no. And then that group that's there, I'm like, I wonder who they are. like, are they other production people, or was it just because at that point you're having to do character design for all those people that are getting their powers, and I wonder what each of them were.
Speaking of that interlude, I have the note here that just says, "Oh, it has a 95% success rate." Okay, that's great and all, but what's the other 5%? Is it just death?
The weird goo thing that Black Lightning had to kill, and they figured out it was a kid later. Last season.
No, that was just a metahuman. That was a successful option.
Oh, then it's probably just goo.
I think when you get injected with something called tar, Rich. It's
now called TR. It's so much less threatening now.
Oh yeah, I'm
it
definitely
comes in
you swim
ear piercing gun.
My nurse brain kicks in and is like, no, don't do that.
Previously, you were just swimming in a vat of it.
Yeah,
Joker style,
drowning in a vat of it. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. No, two of my notes are, gosh, I hate Bezovi, and then a few lines later, gosh, I hate Jace. I don't like the people who surround Brion. They're bad influences who make poor choices.
19 out of 20. It works. Don't roll a natural 1.
Yes.
Also, rewatching this episode multiple times, if you listen to what Jay says, they specifically only inject the new formula into people who they know for certain have the meta gene. So there's a level of like, yeah, of course the success rate is that high. You've narrowed down your pool rather than previously when I think it's implied in season 3 that they're just kind of guessing. Like they don't have enough technology yet to know for sure if any of the people they're using this on are even capable of getting superpowers. So they're just kind of winging it. So like, yeah, your success rate went up when you narrowed down your pool of candidates to only the people who you have medical evidence definitely have the metagene to activate.
Is that true?
Is that true?
It is.
I said all of that with confidence, and I have no idea now.
But actually, because they did that with... No, I think you're right, because they did that with Gabrielle, right? Dow. That's why she was on a pile of dead bodies in the graveyard.
Yep.
And then we all thought, like, wait, she was activated? She didn't know what was going on? Like, we didn't know that she was, like, a mother box at the time, but they injected her and she died, right?
Yeah. Because I think, if I'm remembering correctly, this show has a lot of episodes, and it's been a little while since I've rewatched all of season 3. I think part of the implication of the, like, trafficking plot from seasons 2 into 3 is that some of it is just grabbing runaways and hoping in like a really creepy way.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they did with Ty, right? They grabbed him at the bus stop.
Yeah. Like there's a level of at least like perhaps by season 3 we had started like narrowing things down. But in season 2, like the implication is just kind of rounding people up. Like I think in season 2, one of the people in one of the groups where they're like going in and rescuing people is Steph Brown, who has no superpowers and no metagene. Like,
right.
But she just happened to be there. Like,
yeah, I mean, I said Ty, but obviously that was that was the aliens doing stress experiments on the kids. But there's still that same kind of feeling. It's like almost like the through line of the story feels accurate. Like they've had to level up. Like how they're narrowing down who they're doing the things with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that may be conjecture on my part. I may be making some connections that are not explicitly spelled out in the narrative, and I fully admit that. But it feels like it's in there because they make a point in the propaganda video to be like, anyone who's meta positive can come here and we'll do this. You got to have a doctor's note or we're not going to try.
That requires a referral.
I enjoyed the flashback to when I was moving into the dorms at college. That was fun.
Did you talk to your roommate?
I thought it was very funny. And this might be a me college specific thing, but we were watching and I was like, that's the biggest dorm room stairwell I have ever seen. And the smallest box of moving everything into college I have ever seen at the same time.
Yeah. In one box?
Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
moving everything you need for college in one box is wild. Halo is far more Far more organized than I ever was.
Also, when I was moving in, I remember there's just people everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
there was just students all over the place.
Yeah.
And I actually remember two guys that I remember we became friends, Kevin and Mike. Like, they were literally carrying a thing like that trunk through the hallway.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the only unbelievable thing for me about this scene is the fact that there's no other students all moving in on the same day.
Yeah.
And it's not a giant traffic jam.
It's like I get on a level that it's like, well, it's not crowded because that's hard to animate and expensive to animate. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, fair. Or there's the possibility that Halo is part of like an early move-in program, because those do exist if they had something like
true.
on campus that they were going to, but that's not really implied. But yeah, where are the student ambassadors whose whole thing is trying to help you carry stuff up the stairs because they're here to help and have been here for 3 weeks setting stuff up? Where's your RA? Where did Halo go to get their key? There are steps.
Yeah, for sure.
How does Harper not have a visitor pass? No, I'm just...
It's too early for that. It's too early in the year. It's move-in day. You don't need a visitor's pass on move-in day. There's too many parents running around. But not here at Ivy Town University, where no one else is moving.
If you have superpowers, please move in 24 hours before everyone else.
This is also where we learn, or maybe we learned before, but Harper's working for the Happy Harbor Department of Water and Power.
This is when we learn that. They haven't said it yet.
Logo on the shirt.
That's fun. What else you got, Emily?
I love the little animation shifts they do whenever someone mentions something that resonates with Connor in the Phantom Zone. Like, despite his memory loss and despite his loyalty to Zod, when Phantom Girl mentions Miss Martian, there is a cut to Connor's face and like he visibly reacts to the name as if he can't actually place who it is, but like that's supposed to mean something to him, and like he reacts to it, and it's nice. It's a good touch.
Yeah,
I
sure.
like it. And it happens throughout all of the Phantom Zone stuff. Like, as he's falling farther and farther into dealing with Zod, there are like the occasional things where someone says something and Connor clearly reacts, just like, that word means stuff. And it's good. What else do I have? This is an episode with with so many different plot lines going on that my notes are just scattered all over the place.
Well, then there's like rolling off of that college thing.
Yeah.
Right. So we go into another group session.
Yes. I have notes.
Yeah. Did she? So I rewatched I didn't catch it the first time, and I for some reason paused. I think my kids asked me a question. I went back in the therapy session, started from the beginning so I could watch it again. Did Tara say hello, Megan in Markovian?
Yes, she did.
Is that what happened?
Yes,
All I heard was blah, 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 Megan, and then she went on, and I did not catch that.
Yeah.
I don't think I caught it the first time I watched it either.
I loved Tara being so exasperated with the Harper Violet drama, and I love Hello Megan transcending languages.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was pretty sure that's what happened, which I thought was extra, because we're always talking about how it's great that these phrases from season 1 are translating over 10 years to different generations of heroes, but also now it's going into other languages.
It's the very cool little thing with the way slang and language is used in Young Justice, in the way that character-specific catchphrases become team shorthand over time, and it's very fun to see.
I also feel like
that.
in another 5 years or something, people are going to be like, where's this Hello Megan thing come from? And then there's going to be like a resurgence of wanting to watch the 13 episodes of the Hello Megan TV series, and it's going to become a big thing.
It'll get
big
picked up for
nostalgia
one
thing.
season on Netflix.
Right, exactly.
Hello Megan, a year in the life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's a weird callback that I feel like a small percentage of our audience is going to get.
Where you close it all out, it's called Goodbye, Megan.
Oh,
that's the final episode.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I have very random thoughts. So I'm a huge fan of the X-Men, where, why do you protect a world that hates and fears you? And I've always thought, from like, putting aside the ethical issues that I have with trying to like get rid of mutants and all of the echoes that those storylines have. I often think about those scenarios in like a practical way of like, how dumb. You're a human. That guy shoots lasers from his eyes. That person controls the weather. This person can become small or big or lava you. You saw him kill a relative in terms of Brion, or this guy can turn into everybody. And it always just intrigues me from just a sheer logistical problem of, that feels dumb.
That you're trying to get rid of these people?
Yeah, where like you're a person, I have a stick, and the other person can shoot laser beams.
In this specific example with Lizard Johnny, I feel like part of the implication is supposed to be the idea that they're going after this kid specifically because they don't think he got powers. Because that's a thing that gets touched on in like X-Men too, is the fact that like not everybody gets a cool mutation. Sometimes you just look
Morlocks.
a little odd.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just turn green. Sometimes that's the thing. And so I feel like part of it is like, we're going after this 12-year-old kid who ended up looking like a lizard. This would be easy. And then it's like, oh, he's got poison spit. Oh no.
Yeah, there's actually there's an episode, the Nightcrawler episode of the Wolverine and the X-Men animated series, which is excellent, that deals with that directly. So there's like a kid who literally just shoots sticky goop out of his hands, and another kid who's just got butterfly wings. And that's it. That's all they can do. And so they really like lean into this idea. And I agree with you. Not everybody makes me wonder. I mean, the 95% success rate has got to be the other 5% is death. I'm sure that's what it is. But also the 95% success rate makes me wonder. It's like, is this a useful power?
Yeah.
Or not a useful power? It's
like they're, again, with X-Men, because this is the easiest comparison to make, in the Marvel's mini series that's like a history of Marvel comics through the perspective of a photojournalist. It's a really interesting,
Marvel's
really
great.
interesting graphic novel.
Alex Ross,
There is a bit in there about them finding a very young mutant girl who doesn't have any powers. She just has really big eyes and a really gaunt face. And they're like, that's it. She can't do anything. And it's like, and people, they find her because their kids took her in because people wanted to hurt her. And it's like, she can't even do anything. She's just a kid. And so, that's,
I think you're right on that too.
Like, I feel like that's implied to be why they are going after Lizard Johnny in a world where the king can throw lava and somebody else can multiply and all that stuff. It's like, he's a kid who's a lizard feels like an easy target to awful people.
Yeah, for sure. I noticed that I hate Bazovi is not the only phrase on your notes. I just noticed. You also have the exact same phrase for Jace.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mentioned that. They're both equally.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry. I'm like, oh, yes. Neil's offended.
No. They're not equal. They're not.
They might not be equal, but I dislike them both.
I'll accept that.
They may not be equally horrible, but I dislike them both aggressively. Speaking of the Black Canaries group therapy session, other notes about that one I have we were talking about Tara saying hello Megan and Markovian. I love the way that she reacts to the Harper and Violet drama where she's like, yes, duh, she liked you for a year. What do you mean you've just caught on to this? And I also deeply love Beast Boy just being entirely out of the loop. He's like, who are we talking about? What's been going on? Like, he's known Halo through a bunch of this. Beast Boy's just been going through some stuff. And it's like, what teen drama did I miss? Similarly, I have a note that when we cut back to the group therapy session at one point, the audio is somebody saying, thank you, Andy. Yeah, good share. And I just have a note that just says, in a different universe, Mist and Livewire are having their own teen drama show off screen somewhere in the Taos Youth Center with a whole different cast of super teens. And I'm so happy for them. They don't talk in this episode. They're just here. They even have like a cute little moment of like looking at each other and smiling when Gar is talking about like, me and Wingman look after each other. And I'm like, they look after each other. They're dating in my head canon. I find them fun. I'd watch the show about the Taos Youth Center kids. It would be cool. Speaking of Wingman, Beast Boy got a dog. That's good for him. Love that. And Wingman is actually named after Greg Sipes' own dog, Greg Sipes being Beast Boy's voice actor. And while there's an in-universe explanation for why he's called Wingman, out of universe, it's just because that's the name of Greg Sipes' small dog. Because every character in Young Justice is deep cut comics throwback, except the dogs. The dogs just belong to the cast.
So I was also wondering, like, why would Phantom Girl choose to have that conversation there? I was just like, I don't know all the rules about the Phantom Zone, but this seems like maybe we wouldn't have enough time to start doing diagrams in the ground. Like, move away and then talk. I mean, granted, it wouldn't matter. Don't tell him I'm awake. She's awake. She's awake. Yeah, that was just interesting to me. Yeah, those scenes are cool because it adds more lore to, like, what is the Phantom Zone, like that in between space, which also, like, leads more into, like, why everything has been so weird up until now.
Yeah. Is that it? Anything else you guys got?
So the score when the OG team gets together, it harkens back to, like, episode 1, season 1. Of just, like, when they first got together, which is such a cool way to give those original vibes, is just have the same music pop up. And obviously you have the same amazing people making the music, so it makes it pretty easy for, well, nothing's easy. They're amazing. I assume it's all very difficult, and I have no ability to do so. They make it look easy. There it is.
It looks effortless. Sounds effortless.
And so, but having that bring up those same emotional responses and just having that, just picturesque, like print, put on wall kind of scene of them getting ready. Also, wild to me that no one is there to make sure nothing happens to that bus. You didn't leave anyone. Clearly, that place wants to crush that bus. And in my head, they're just like, how did this bus get here? We're supposed to crush. Did you forget to crush the bus? I did crush the bus. Clear you didn't crush the bus. It's right there. Okay, well, we'll crush the bus.
Zatanna taped a note to the outside.
Obviously, it'll be fine. Sure, maybe. But I was just like, oh, we all jumped through the portal. I assume we all think will be fine. Wow. Okay. No one left to guard the portal. Not even a Trogawog.
Clearly, they've never played a role-playing game before where you always have to leave someone to guard the bus.
Rocks fall, bus dies. I think my last two things with that bit, with the finding and fixing the bus notes are, one, I think it's hilarious that after capturing all the Trogowogs, Zatanna's like, oh, you guys did almost as good as my students. And I'm like, Zatanna just loves messing with people because, like, your students wrecked a New York block. Like, the team did this flawlessly. What are you talking about? And two, on the one hand, I totally agree with Nightwing that getting McGann's hopes up if they actually turned out to be wrong would be so unbelievably cruel. But on the other hand, that means the plan here really just is get Connor back and then show up at McGann's doorstep like, hey, we found your fiance in a hell dimension. You want him back? And that's wild.
Hey, we found this. Do you want this? He followed us home. Do you want that?
Just everybody shows up in Happy Harbor, rings the doorbell, and just kind of steps out of the way and is like, hey.
Mm-hmm. Here he is.
We just saw this while we were out, and we thought you might like it. I think that's everything. Rich, do you have anything else? Oh, nope.
No, but I do want to talk about a feeling I remembered having when this was originally airing. And I then assumed that, like, we probably would have talked about it during the Scream something. Showing up in Markovia felt like, wait, what? Who? No, huh? Yep. This is episode 23. Wait, Markovia? What are we doing here? I remember having those feelings then.
Yeah.
And then, like, showing back up now, I'm like, oh yeah, it's totally fine. Like, and it progresses storylines and
And we'll talk a bit about it in the crashing mode.
Totally get it. But I definitely remember those feelings originally of just being like, oh, what? Why are we here?
But that does remind me of the note that was at the top of my list and I completely forgot to say. I just want to say the design for Halo's costume in this episode is everything I could have asked for and everything I wanted Halo's costume to be originally. It looks fabulous. I love it.
Agreed. No arguments.
Nope. And I think it's a good representation of like, no, I've been moving on. Like, no, like, and the thing that hurts the most is that you're not here. Like, I've had to do that alone. And like, or in this pain of like, whatever you're going through it alone. Bazovi, but.
No, he's got his Bazovi. He's got his emotional support Bazovi. I couldn't even say that without feeling uncomfortable in my whole body.
No.
It just sounds like something like a kid would name like a stuffed animal. I can't go to sleep without my Bazovi.
Without my emotional support Bazovi. Oh, have I mentioned I don't like that guy?
Oh, hey, I got nothing. I can't even do it. So there's your indicator.
All right, there we go.
No redeeming qualities.
We bookmarked the beginning and end of this episode with Bazovi. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next section.
Welcome to the Fake Your Own Death Club. Its membership is very exclusive, and I'm the president.
Hello, team, and welcome to the Midroll. Producer Neil here. We're a little late on this one because I have been ridiculously under the weather. I am surprised my voice sounds as good as it might right now. But just wanted to jump on and say we're about to record the last couple of episodes, so continue to send on any ideas that you have for what we might be able to do post Season 4. We've got a ton of ideas. At this point, I think it's just trying to pin down what we should do first. But no matter what, keep binging YJ. No matter where it ends up, no matter who ends up owning it, everybody's trying to buy it. Maybe it goes back to Netflix. Maybe that's where it finds its new home. That's where it hits those numbers once again. Heck, maybe that's where we get another season. In my heart of hearts, I always hold out hope that that's exactly what's going to happen. More comics, more seasons, spin-offs, toys, games. It's all there. It's all available to us. One glorious day. But enough of that. Let's head back to the show.
Stick around. Class is in session.
In our Canary Debrief, we'll be discussing what we can learn about the creative process from the episodes we review. Since the title of the episode is Ego and Superego, I thought it apt to kind of focus on those two words and see what I could pull out for the creative process. And in a way, it's mirrored because the characters have to reconcile their internal identities with their external actions, often requiring a reconstruction of the self, much like a creative refines a draft. So that's kind of where we're going to look at for this one. So there's a couple pieces from the episode that kind of stand out to me. And the first one is kind of like the power of revision, where we literally see the OG team go into a junkyard and literally rebuild a crushed and forgotten bus to serve as the vehicle into the Phantom Zone. And when doing creative work, like that's a requirement, being able to take something that is essentially nothing and make it into something through revision. You look at the first draft, it's messy and it can become crushed by reality when you think, oh, this is a great idea. And then you find out it's been done before, but how do I make it my own? And typically it's through the help of others. Do you have a peer group that you have reviewed? Do you have an editor that you trust? Do you have trogawogs at your disposal? But no matter what, it has to go through iterations to become something more. And we salvage it. Oftentimes it's the thing we don't share because it's so raw, it's so real, it's so us, who we are, that first draft. And it's almost embarrassing. I mean, I'm embarrassed of many of my first drafts, but it has to be shown because you salvage the core idea and make it into something functional again. And it's about like defining that identity, the ego, if you will. Because I mean, even if we look at like Violet's journey and exploring their non-binary identity and setting boundaries with both Harper and Brione, like through that process, it kind of represents what I think we all go through in the creative process, because one of the biggest things about being a creative person is finding the way that you're trying to set your voice out unto the world. I mean, it's literally what I'm doing right now. And every time I write, every time I do a podcast, that's the exact process I have to go through. What version? Like the version I have here is not inherently the same version as when I write something for a company, or even the version, if you go listen to my other podcast, like that's not the same, because again, it's that creative voice that I'm trying to find and represent. And it requires a clear understanding of one's own voice, which is extremely difficult. The ego, again, if you will, and the genuine courage to express it. So shout out to anyone that is doing the creative process, because it's big, it's scary, and finding that voice can often feel like starting over because you're representing yourself in a new way. But one of the other things that's required is the weight of structure. And that's kind of falls into the superego, where if we want to look at kind of the weight of structure, I mean, we could use Brion's structure in Markovia. I mean, shout out to the terrifying nature that is the light and Bazovi. But other than that, like even just the general weight of the structure and the scenarios that he finds himself in, and, you know, trying to create this nation of heroes, but it's being corrupted by this rigid and manipulative nature. Like this serves as a reminder that the creative process needs structure to succeed. But at the same time, if that structure is too set, too rigid, or even if that structure is not faithful to the voice that you're trying to have, that creative voice, or, you know, dishonest, if you will, to who you are, the final product, you're trapped. You become stuck. This is a super weird analogy, but one of the funniest versions of this, and it worked out certainly, is that people may or may not know that Bob Ross's hair is actually a perm, and he didn't want that, but it became too iconic, and it just was what it was. And so part of his creative process literally became getting a perm all the time until he passed, because it became so ingrained in what his creative approach was and the presentation therein. He's like, there's no way he could change his appearance because it was so iconic. He embraced that, but at the same time, like if you have it available to you, seeing what pieces of the structure don't feel honest to you or the creative voice, and hopefully being able to change those. Kind of the other thing is, no matter what, being able to be persistent through failure. That's true in every creative endeavor, and that's true in life. You know, for this one, we could kind of look a little bit towards like Connor and the Phantom Zone, and, you know, the continued struggle there, and then all the setbacks, and Phantom Girl's failed attempt to rescue him. I mean, we get burnt by the process. That's obviously, you can see what I did there. But the lesson lies in the persistence to keep going forward. And, you know, this is illustrated by those that are on the outside who continue to seek a solution on getting Connor out of the Phantom Zone. But ultimately, the ego and superego is illustrating to us that creativity is it's a balancing act. It's about taking the pieces of our own experiences and applying the necessary structure to guide them into something more, and having the bravery to then show that unto the world.
I've admired your stance on animal rights for years.
In fan service, we take some time to highlight the amazing fan-related creations celebrating DC, Young Justice, and other creative works that we think Young Justice fans will love. This time around, we had someone reach out via the emails and let us know about an amazing AMV that they've created, and we will have a link to the show notes. So shout out Caitlin to basically the fight that is with Child and all of the magical elements, and tying that to the ever amazing. I mean, you've heard us shout about it. I actually don't quite remember how much I put on the editing floor about us waxing poetically about K-pop Demon Hunters. But this is, like I said, kind of the magical elements tied over the top of How It's Done, which is one of my favorite songs. They're all my favorite songs from K-pop Demon Hunters. So again, shout out Caitlin. I love it. And like I said, there's a link down in the show notes. But with that, let's head back to the show.
Tell us something we don't know yet. Sorry, BB. We can't risk altering the time stream. We do that, we're all feeling the mode.
Our earlier segments assume listeners have only seen up to this episode in Season 4. In Crashing the Mode, we'll be discussing spoilers and foreshadowing for future episodes, the handful that we have left, as well as plot elements from the original DC storylines that may affect what we see later on. We may also drop theories and speculations about what's to come based on wild flights of fancy. Yeah, so, Neil, Markovia. Speaking of Markovia.
More Markovia. I mean, it's interesting because, it does develop the plot lines further, but, it's an important plot line because it is the, crux of, how the world in some ways views the metahuman situation, and you have refugees and all these other things. And there will be a lot more to happen. This is the thing. I just can't figure out where people actually are because Bazovia is involved. So, the other Infinitors that are on board with, whatever manipulative process is going on to have force Brion into certain things, like every man turning into Wilhelm.
Yeah.
But, Bazovia's nowhere near there. But did Bazovia set that up previously? Or are they just on board? Because Fury's against it to some degree. So it's is that what's helping show me who's where? Because she's less on board.
She's she hasn't said anything directly opposed or necessarily done anything that I think Bazovia understands as being directly opposed to what he wants, right? So he hasn't felt like, I guess maybe he's needed to. She's kind of kept it close to the chest, close to her chest. And even when she did pull Everyman back, he's like, wow, that was great. Good job. And then walked off. So maybe they're not even sure. They just assume she's on board somehow.
Oh, yeah. He thought it was the good cop, bad cop routine. Yeah.
Oh, and then it was like, hey, go meet the other two for your next assignment. Go do your thing. Right? And they didn't tell her what they were doing. They were just saying hey, we're going to go visit this dude. Just stay with us or whatever. Because she seemed totally surprised by what was happening or what was going on at the time.
There's the possibility that could have been a little bit of a test, see how she reacts to that, and then Bazovia would make his decisions on how to approach her. But I don't know. What are the plans of that man?
I don't know. But she's clearly figuring out Bazovia is not. She's already been manipulated, mind controlled. She's had all this other stuff happen to her. I think she's already having some appropriate discernment about I don't want to make assumptions, but something feels not right from a previous conversation I've already had here.
People keep saying things and then doing the opposite things.
And only when the emotional support Bazovia.
No.
So,
This whole episode also sets up for what's going to be a large part of the post-season comics arc that they released that has a lot to do with Markovia and the metahumans and Perdita and all of those things interacting. So I also, especially on rewatch, I'm this feels a little bit like it was sprinkled in here to give some groundwork so that the comics could do some stuff.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into eventually.
Eventually. After this season.
Because Connor's alive in those comics, so we can't cover them yet.
Yes.
And when those solicits came out with those covers before the season had ended, and people were like, well, that's Connor on the cover, so I guess Connor's gonna be fine. That was an interesting time on the internet.
Yes. That makes sense. Well, speaking of Connor, you mean he doesn't die of those wounds?
Yeah,
but he's gonna look into it.
He's gonna have a time there for a little bit of what I refer to as Chekhov's lava burns.
Yes, that was really well handled though. This reminder of oh, and then the next time you see Superboy, you're oh, wait, okay, now we see how this works.
The first time through this season, I remember once we saw Connor in the Phantom Zone, I was like, oh, he's pretty injured. I wonder if that'll be a problem. And then just kind of forgot about it because you get so used to what Superboy looks like in the Phantom Zone that it and they're blue and stuff. It's It's
it
not
seems
fully
surreal.
computing.
It's like
seems
dreamy.
surreal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just to have Phantom Girl come back and immediately start screaming, and you're like, oh, injuries are a problem when they transfer over.
Oh, yeah.
And then you sit, and then if you're me, you spend the next 3 episodes of the season just sitting there in rapt terror every time it's like, oh, Superboy's about to leave the Phantom Zone. That's going to go poorly. And then he does and immediately collapses. We'll see that in a couple episodes.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll talk about it in a couple of episodes, but I can tell you, I just watched it because I just rounded out the season this morning, and like it's unpleasant. It's not as graphically detailed as Cyborg having half his body blown off.
Yeah,
but it's definitely you're like, oh, that's not good.
Oh, that's what happens
so
when you
bad.
get attacked by a alien shark with claws.
Rage-eating shark.
And released on a planet without the right sun.
Yeah.
The lava burns alone would have been an issue, but instead you have giant chest wounds.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And that anything else on Crash the Motor? We only have a few episodes left. No. I think we're
yeah, short of just saying things that will happen.
The bus will come in handy as magical transportation later. Good thing there's nobody in that junkyard in the middle of the night to decide to crush that bus again.
We can't even say Beast Boy's having a bad time because
he's not.
He seems to be
Beast
doing better.
Boy's having a much better time.
Yeah, which is good.
With his serious mental help, with his actually prescribed pills, with his therapy, and his emotional support dog. He's doing better, and I'm very happy for him.
I know this isn't really Crash in the Mode, but I do like when they were like, oh, so I'm so glad getting the dog helped you. And he said, yes, also, I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's not like, hey, I got a dog and I magically feel better, or like that kind of thing. Like he really emphasizes like, this is taking some stuff and I have to step up and I have to talk to my friends. And I don't know about, Perdita, and like it's tough. That's a tough place to be.
I also really like, especially on rewatches, of seeing that the thing that he says about Wingman and why Wingman helps is not just like, I have nice fuzzy pet now, so I'm better. It's having a dog that I need to take care of gives me a schedule and responsibilities that help me structure my life in a way that gets me out of the pit of just lying in my bed and being depressed. And I'm like, yeah, that is part of the actual benefit of that. It is not just the like animal
Snuggles.
Gives unconditional love. It's like, no, it helps you structure things. And that's a really important way of pointing it out. While also saying, yes, a corgi is lovely and adorable. Give him a pat on the head.
Exactly. Yeah. That wasn't really Crash in the Mode, but
no. But it's good.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
We looped back around. Sometimes these things cross over.
Well, so many times this is where this conversation comes up as we've gone through the season, is to talk about like he's still going through it. And it felt really long when the episodes were dropping because you weren't able to just kind of go through them. Obviously at the pace of binge watching them now that they're on Max. I assume that's what it's still called today. Check back tomorrow, listeners. Because who knows? But yeah, it's nice to also, it just show what is a healthy avenue for Beast Boy, because that, that's always the best I can say, because the healthy avenue for each person is always different, but a good representation of what a healthy avenue for him is in the show, of saying like, yeah, I have this dog and it gives me little wins every day. And that's one of the big things that I think about, like in my own struggles that I've had. Like you just start making those goals a little smaller to say, I got up, I did this, I did that. And having a dog that is wholly reliant on its existence, and you helping it get there can be those little wins of like, I took, or, is it that I know the dog needs to go out on a walk and there's a healthy aspect to that. And in essence, I have also gone on a walk. I have gone outside. I have breathed fresh air. I have seen other humans. I've done the things. So yeah, it was just nice. And also like the really, this is not surprising, but Black Canary being like, no, Victor, that's not what we do. We don't tell other people. Ultimately, it is their choice. We can give I statements, not you statements. And I was just like, yeah, there we go. And then, but also immediately having that example of like, So when my father and I, like my journey, my story of when my father and I were going through these things, I reached out, so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, surprise. A Black Canary therapy scene was good.
Who would have guessed?
Nice. All right. Well, on the Black Canary note then, with all that, I think we can say it out of the Watchtower.
If you'd like to join us in discussing this incredible series, you can find us on Twitter at the YJ Files, on our website, crashingthemode.com, and you can even email us at whelmedpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.
And if you'd like to support our show, please consider sharing it with a friend and joining our chats on social media. You can also support the show by giving us a 5-star review and or rating on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. The ratings, comments, and subscriptions help others find the show. If you do leave us a rating, please let us know at our email address or on social media, especially if you're outside the US, as we have to look a little bit harder to find those.
If you are able to support us monetarily, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/crashingthemode. Even $1 a month can help us bring you even more awesome discussion sessions, interviews, reviews, and more.
And remember,
stay well, everyone.
Perfect.
That's right.
You've been listening to Whelmed, the Young Justice Files podcast. Our hosts are Rich Howard and Emily Booza. Our editor and producer is Neil Powell. Our theme was composed by Emily Mio. Our logo was created by Kevin Bates. Whelmed is a fan-made podcast and is not officially affiliated with DC Comics, DC Entertainment, Warner Brothers Animation, and any other owners of Young Justice or its related source material. As such, these companies have sole ownership of all symbols, images, names, logos, and proprietary material related to Young Justice. Original content of this podcast is ours under Creative Commons. Thanks for listening, and stay whelmed.